Fair Dinkum.
Well, welcome to the FairDinkum podcast. We have our man, Mr. Salim Mohamed, because I was going to use a Lebanese way of using it. I was going to pronounce your name Lebanese.
Yeah.
No, Salim.
I'm used to that. People call me
I
Salim.
butchered it, but
Salim is what 9% people call
we
me.
use Salim, inshallah. Bro.
Yeah.
How you been, brother?
Alhamdulillah, good. How are you?
You don't have coronavirus?
I don't think so.
Not yet?
We shook hands.
Yeah, there's a lot of handshaking and hugs and stuff.
We'll
But
test you after the podcast.
Now, tell us a little bit about what you do, my man.
I work at the Western Bulldogs Community Foundation, youth development coordinator. Actually, not a youth worker, which I thought I was until like a month ago. Yeah. And then my manager, I was having a chat with the manager. Apparently, I'm in the industry of community development. So what that means, I don't work with young people one-on-one on like case management, but I do capacity building programs. So it's not youth work where you work with someone. You work more with like a group of people and trying to basically build skills and make them better. So
Like setting up programs for schools.
yeah, basically in schools, outside of schools, with councils. But yeah, basically trying to improve the community around them and themselves.
Fair enough. So community work more so, but you're still involved around the youth.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
Yeah, so you still see a fair bit.
yeah. I see a lot.
How does Western Bulldogs help your community? Jeez.
Well, it's funny because AFL clubs work in regions. Yeah, so
Western Bulldogs works in this area?
no, we don't.
Oh, I'm
We don't.
confusing.
So we work in the west. Because the outside has my community.
Yeah.
We work in the western region, so yeah, can't really work with the north that much.
Yeah.
But then again, now I feel like the west is my community. Been there for a year and a little bit now.
Part of us, eh?
Yeah,
Part of us,
100%.
right?
Are you from the west?
Yeah. I'm a bit all over the place.
Yeah, you are all over the place.
Do you see a big difference with the Western community and the North?
It depends. I think I'm not super active when it comes to the communities in a different sense. For example, in the community in the north, I'm very active with like the African community, like the
Oh, okay,
Somalis
yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. And when I go out to the west, majority of my programs are for like, Australian kids and
Yeah.
more Anglo. We've got a few programs for young Africans, and even then, I see a massive difference between
The ones that
the issues that they face and the barriers that
Okay.
they face. But that could also just be a nationality thing, because majority of the programs that we have for young Africans is for young South Sudanese youth, and then young Somali youth here is what I generally deal with in my day-to-day. So then it might just be that I'm dealing with different nationalities that face different sort of issues in a sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, the community I deal with are very different with work and my personal stuff.
Oh.
Do you feel like the struggles are pretty similar though?
Yeah, I think every young person has the same struggles, trying to figure out who they are, their identity, dealing with social media, popularity, education, who they want to become. And I think it's, I was having this conversation not too long ago, and I think you have to kind of define yourself at a much younger age than back when I was like 14, 15. Like, I would just play soccer and go to school and that's it. But then now, because of social media, everyone has to kind of have to prove you're a success or a failure at a very young age, and teachers are looking at you saying, oh, this is what you can become, this is what your ceiling is. So now I think it's tough growing up these days.
It's like defining who you are at an earlier stage. So when you're young, when you're like growing up like we were, it's like, okay, when I hit 18, 20 years old, I'll figure out what I want to do for my life.
Yeah.
You mean like
Yeah.
things get serious at a young age?
Yeah, 100%. Like, I see kids that are like 12 that are catching buses and, they're putting this and that on their stories. Also, they have thousands of people following them. They have to prove to them who they are in a sense. But us, it's kind of like just whoever we saw at school, and after school we won't see them, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And then we go home and it's about what our parents think. And
It seems like they really have that social pressure from such a young age,
yeah,
and they get too involved with their social media life,
mm-hmm.
where it takes over their personal life.
Yeah, 100%. And
They feel a bit rushed, I guess, with
yeah.
choosing a career or pathway, whatever it is.
Yeah, and the issue with that is you can't turn that off. Like with us, it's kind of like
yeah.
when you go to school and you have your school friends. As soon as you go home, that's it. Like, you don't even hear from them. Like, besides
You
they
see
call you on your landline.
Their mom calls your mom.
Yeah, well, that's it. Or they knock on your door, which didn't happen too often. But those sort of things. But then now it's kind of like you're at school, and as soon as you get home, people you just saw are still watching you in a sense. Right?
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
Because you can't switch it off. Your brain's still running.
Yeah.
Like 100% of the time. Like back in the day, there was no I can pop my phone on and then just videotape something that's going on at home, or
Yeah.
you know, oh, okay, I'm eating this, or I'm driving here, or I'm doing that. Do you know what I mean? Like that's why I think social media adds too much pressure to these kids, man. If you think about it, I act social media for a reason. Like I feel like there was just unnecessary things just feeding into my mind, because you know how you can only have a certain amount of thoughts in a day.
Yep.
I feel like if anything, clouding somebody's like imagination. Do you know what I mean? Like it really stifles it.
Yeah.
Because you don't have that room to breathe and to think. I don't know, man. It could be a reason for all this mental health issues that's going on.
Yeah, 100%. I definitely agree with that.
I reckon that as well, because back in the day, Friday last period is the last time we see friends.
Yeah.
And then Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, come back. I did this in the weekend. Now at 13 years old, they're putting stories up. I went to Adventure Park on Saturday.
They already made that.
I went here, and then your parents are working hours and hours per day, and Saturday, Sunday, you're just at home doing nothing. You're thinking far out. At a younger age, you're thinking you're comparing.
Yeah.
Like right now, that happened to us a few years ago, possibly. Even to this day, probably. Like, as in, it happened to us at a later stage in our lives. But like at 12 years old, imagine comparing your lives to another kid's life. Like imagine one kid's an older child, and you're one of 7.
Yeah.
Like your lives are going to be completely different. One kid's parents going to...
Like you're sitting in line for your PS4,
Yeah.
waiting for your sibling to get off.
Exactly.
Very different lifestyles.
Yeah.
And I think too, I was doing a career mastery course not too long ago, and then the guy that was presenting the thing said, we have a physical energy. So we have breakfast, it affects how much energy we have, and then we have lunch and dinner and so on. But we also have psychological energy, and that runs out depending on like what your workload is, what your study load is, and then comparing things. Like for example, have you realized in the morning when you check Instagram, it's kind of like, all right, fair enough. Your day starting, everyone else's day starting.
Yeah.
You might see one person doing something special, right? But then in the morning, generally everyone's like in a positive mood. And then if you go to work or you go to school and you're doing like your 9 to 5 or 9 to 3 or whatever, and then when you come back, everyone's lives are very different. You know, and that's when you start looking at, okay, this person's doing this, I'm not doing that, you know, all that kind of stuff. So that's where like throughout the whole day, you're using your brain energy. And then when you get into the afternoon, like if you're on social media for too long, it can absolutely drain you out.
Yeah, I find it very dangerous with the social comparison as well. That's especially with high school kids as well. If they see, let's just say even with like school holidays, if they're not working, they don't have a job they've been applying, and they see their friends or whoever working every day, it's like, oh, they're making more money than me. It's like they feel that pressure.
Yeah,
it doesn't really help as well.
Yeah, 100%.
That's why I find it a bit toxic for high school kids.
Even for us.
Yeah,
it can be very toxic for us as well. Say you just I'm 22 now. Say there's another 22-year-old that did 3 years of a course. He didn't like it. He's changing his course. He's starting a new course fresh this semester. He's like, you know, I got another 4 years left in my new course now, and he sees this person graduating.
Yeah,
it can sort of just trip him out. It's like, what the hell? Me and this guy finished school together, and he's graduating, and I'm just starting a new course, and he's already working, and
and it's crazy because it's like you might think that, but that person might graduate and not have a job for 3 years.
Exactly.
You know, I've seen that in a lot of cases where there was someone that close friend of mine finished civil engineering, and then for 3 years was working in a factory.
Look at that.
You know what I mean? And then there was other people that were going in and out of courses and whatnot. Somehow they find their feet.
Yeah.
You know, so everyone's journey is very different. So
I think everyone, they just compare their books to everyone else's.
yeah, 100%. And it's funny, actually, you're saying you're 22. You know, on average, a male's brain fully develops at 25.
What?
Yeah.
For real?
On average, yeah.
Wow.
25. What are females?
Female, I think, a bit younger. That's why they're more mature than us.
So you got an excuse.
Yeah, you got.
I'm alright. You bastard.
But no, what I'm saying is that, like, look at that. Look at you're 22.
Yeah.
You know, you've got your head screwed on straight, and then you're still finding some of these, like, navigating through life a bit difficult. Imagine a young person that's like 13, 14, that has to prove to the whole world who they are.
Yeah.
Tries to prove to the teachers that they can become something.
Yeah.
Tries to prove to, you know, the high standards of their parents that they are going to become something. Like, you have all these tough choices they have to make in life.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays, and their brain's like another 10 years off fully developing.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's what the issue. I think the issue is too many kids are being put in a position to make life-altering choices at too young of an age.
And the weird thing is, say, like, one guy's solution is could be like one parent's solution could be, you know what, I'm gonna make sure my kids don't have social media. But imagine being 13, 14, and everyone has Instagram in your class, and you don't have Instagram.
Yeah,
that can have another effect on you.
FOMO.
Yeah, you can be like, what the hell? These guys have Instagram. I don't have Instagram. What's the story? What does it mean? He tagged me in this. You know, oh, look at that funny video I found. And all you have, like, you probably just have an iPod or something in 2020. An iPod for 14 was like, yeah, oh my God, that tells iPod. You mean back in the iPod's like, they don't have an iPod.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
It's a big deal. But now for a kid, all the kids have what, iPhone 6, 7, 8, 9. Is that 9, yeah? 10. What, Pro, Max, this, that, whatever. And like his parents say he's an iPod. You're like, I can't.
You feel like a status symbol type.
Yeah, for a kid, it's like, it's in a way, it's sort of like when we were kids, the kid that had the brand new soccer shoes.
Yeah.
You get me?
Yeah.
Like my dad bought me, I think, one Adidas shoes when I was like year 8, and before that I wore Umbro.
Yeah.
As a kid, but all the kids around me were wearing like Nike Ronaldinho shoes, the white and gold ones. They had all these different type of shoes. And then I'd be just wearing Umbro. Alhamdulillah, I didn't care.
Yeah.
But like another kid could look at it, can have like a big effect on him. You know? Or this person, he has a soccer top. Remember back in the day, the thing was soccer top with your name on it?
Oh.
Yeah, imagine soccer top with your name on it, with their name on it, and they have the brand new shoes. You're like, what about me?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
but back then it was like sort of a, when I go training and I see him wearing the Ronaldinho shoes and I see a soccer top, that's when I feel jealous. But after training, it's done.
Yeah.
But imagine seeing it on social media at 13 and 14. It's ridiculous, yeah.
But I think then it comes down to the parenting
And
what the parents
make
important for the kid, right? Because you'll see a lot of people that like excel academically, but they might struggle deen-wise. And then you look at when they were growing up and their parents were like, get A+, get 99, A tag, get this, get that. And that was the main focus of the household. I mean, you see other people where academically that, you know, that doesn't have a massive significance to them, but then and their deen is mashallah, spot on. And that was like the households generally where the parents would be like, you know, praying on time, calling them to prayer, letting them lead prayer, so they have that bit of leadership. And, you know, the parents show that care of actually them reading the Quran themselves without just telling you read the Quran.
Yeah.
You know, because there's a point where kids will stop listening to you and they start acting like
rebelling, yeah.
Right? Not really rebelling. Kids do what you do more than what you say. Right? So if they see what you're doing and they see that that's positive, they'll mimic that. So there's a lot of times when people will say one thing and then do something different, but then the kids will see the joy of what they're doing rather than just what they're saying, because they don't see what they're saying.
Because they're subconsciously programmed.
Yeah. So and that's the thing too, it's like very hard for parenting to find that balance of, you know, dunya, akhirah, deen, and academics.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to, like, for example, sports shoes and all that kind of stuff, it's like if the parents there to watch you, or maybe they don't watch you at all.
Yeah.
So then to use sports not like that, because, you know, your parents are not there to watch you at all. So maybe you don't care about shoes. You know, but it might be that kid that parents come to every single game, so he cares about how he performs, his appearance, shoes, all that kind of stuff. I think it's kind of more, it reflects more on the household than it does the parent. But one thing that I don't like about social media, especially with young kids, is I feel like it's kind of like absent parenting in a sense.
Yeah.
That it's kind of like a distraction. Like, here, jump on the phone, you know, just stop nagging me, stop asking for this, stop asking for that.
Yeah.
It kind of like
majority
makes parenting a bit easier for them.
Yeah.
It's an excuse to use it. Yeah.
Majority of parents don't even know what goes on the kid's phone. Yeah. I think almost all parents don't ever get the kid's phone and say, give it. Let me see what's going on.
I think sometimes parents don't want to know. Have you ever thought of that?
Yeah, honestly, for my kids, like, I wouldn't want to know everything, bro. If you got to see everything.
He's 12 years old. He has Instagram. Imagine going to his friend has Instagram. You're like, what are you even
I'd want to
doing?
know.
Huh? Everything?
I'd want everything.
I would want to know.
Yeah.
Like, I might not directly speak about everything to them, but I want to know everything so that I know when they get to a certain age, I can then step in when they're mature enough to have that conversation.
Oh, you're saying from like a bit younger.
Regardless, I want to know everything.
You
know?
Yeah, same.
Maybe when they move out and stuff, then they're grown. You've done everything you can.
True.
But all the way up to like 16, 17, 18, every single detail. Whether they tell me or I find out my own way.
Yeah, but do you find that possible though, to like find everything out, like realistically? If you were to, like, if you had kids right now that had social media accounts,
it could be.
How possible is it to track everything?
It could be a relationship with the kid.
Yeah, I think it comes down to that, the trust.
Yeah.
I went to a school full of Turks, and some Turkish kids, they had similar upbringing to us, where like what they spoke about among the boys, stay among the boys.
Yeah.
But some kids, them and their dads and uncles had like a weird ass relationship.
Yeah.
You know, like some of them weren't really the best in Dean, but they're like, yeah, my uncle's like to me, yeah, have you fun, da, 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 who you talking to right now, da, da, da. The communicator is like, bro, listen, make sure you go to parties and stuff at 16, 17, make sure you have your first drink with me. They built, like, I know it's un-Islamic, but like they built some sort of like a
bond,
like a bond, and the kid wants to be with his uncle. The kid wants to chill with his uncle and go out and do what they're doing and all that. You know what I'm talking about? Like it depends on like if that uncle goes to that kid and says to him, like, "Give me a phone, let me sort something out." He'll probably give it to him. You get me? It depends on that relationship you have with the kid.
But I think with that as well, it's a bit scary because why isn't that uncle something telling him off on what's right and wrong? And if he sees that or if he sees stuff on the phone, will he then call it out?
No, but that's possibly the way the uncle lives his life. It's himself.
Yeah.
You get me?
Yeah.
So like the kid, okay, maybe the kid and his parents have a good relationship, but he doesn't want to live his dad's life. He wants to live his uncle's life.
Yeah.
So he's more inclined to be open to his uncle. Who you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. So
I get where you're coming from. Essentially, the key thing that you're trying to say is you have to earn your kids' respect and earn your kids' trust and stuff like that, rather than forcing it. Because you can't be a helicopter parent. Helicopter parents are always the ones that the kids are just like, I'm gonna rebel against you. When I hit 18, I'm allowed to go out.
I'm finished.
Bang, I'm gone. Because I've seen plenty of those kids in my area. Plenty of kids in my area, especially Lebanese people. They hold their kids. You know, they're going nowhere until you're 18. Nowhere. Like they won't let you out of the house. And then when you hit 18 and you realize you can say no to your parents, you can use public transport because you have university as an excuse. Everyone's gone. Everyone's going everywhere. They're going wherever they want. They're doing whatever they want. And then get to the point where the parents are yelling at them and they realize, hang on, I'm an adult now. You can't talk to me like that. I do my own thing. I'm responsible for myself. And then the parents are like, oh, he's too far gone. I can't go do anything with this kid. That's the problem with trying to be a helicopter parent.
It's a balance.
To your kid. You'd rather be that type that you're like, you know what? If my kid has a problem and he's buckling, doesn't know what to do, comes to me first.
Yeah, I like that.
I mean?
But
that's how you want to be.
How do you do that?
That's the thing.
Yeah,
you
you
figure
gotta
it
earn
out.
that respect.
We can't. We're not even parents, so we can't even say, you do this, do that, do this, do that. Yeah.
Nah, I think the more you expose yourself to like working with young people of different ages and stuff, the more you kind of learn from that process. Because I think I've done since I was 19, I've been coaching soccer one way or another, whether it's outdoor, indoor, futsal, over the summer, the BYM program. It's not there anymore, but like through all those experiences, I've realized like I've learned so much, especially the past 2-3 years, of what like at the age of 10 is important to a kid
nowadays.
Yeah, and then what like at the age of 13, and then at the age of 16, and it's completely different. It's a whole world of difference
compared to your days.
No, I'm saying no, just between those ages. Right now, if you meet a kid that's 10 and then you meet another kid that's 12 and another kid that's 40 and another kid that's 16, all of them are on completely different mental sort of levels or what they crave in a sense.
Yeah,
you know, because one could just be like, okay, he literally like a 10 to 12-year-old just wants your attention.
Yeah,
you know, just to either kick a ball with them or just to listen to them, or they come with all the wildest stories and random stuff, and they just want someone to listen, someone to just to be there for them, right? Yeah. And they don't care. Like you don't have to say a single word. So to be there, smile, nod your head. That's it. That will change the whole world for someone.
How far they can go.
You know, and then when you get to like 13, 14, then it's really about kind of affirmation. Like for them, that's when they're trying to figure out. They're trying to become popular with their friends. Like friends becomes the whole world to them. Yeah. Right. So that's where to them you kind of be like, oh no, that's good. This is not good. That's because these kids will do anything to get that sort of approval from people around them. So at the age of like 10, 11, it's just about them.
That actually makes sense.
You know, at the age of 13, 14, it's about literally everyone around them. And at the age of 16 and stuff, that's literally it's identity. You know? Themselves. So it's very different. Like obviously every kid's a different individual circumstance. But in general, that's kind of like the different things. And I learned that through like trying to deal with someone who's 16, like I deal with people that are 14, and it just didn't work out. And I had to really self-assess and look back at it and be like, okay, so why is it not working out? And it's really fascinating, bro. I love, like, if I didn't do what I was doing now, and I could pick what I was studying or whatnot, like back in the days, I love psychology. It's like studying behavior and
Sahel loves that as
those
well.
sort of things. Like, I absolutely love it all.
Yeah, no, that's crazy, bro. It's funny because like everyone still has the same, how do I say it, like the natural disposition to be a certain type of way at a certain age. Like when you're younger, all you want to do is play. You want entertainment, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And then when you get older, things start to change. You know what I mean? You start to say, hang on, you know, I like shoes or I like this, and you start to be like, how do I fit in with people? And you get to a stage where you're like, how do I get the opposite gender to look at me? And then it starts to become something else where you're like, how do I get prestige, money, power, all this sort of stuff? And then it gets to the point where you're like, I have to feed a family. When do I get married?
Yeah.
It's like the stages of life are the same pretty much for everyone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they're very similar.
But like obviously not everyone's black and white in the same way they go about it. But like I'll give you another example. Like there's ways, there's things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created in us. Yeah. And Allah said that you shouldn't be testing these certain things. Like, for example, premarital relations, for example, yeah? He says, don't try this. When you get married, do that sort of thing. Because you don't know the way I've created you, you're not going to be able to withhold your desires, for example. Yeah? And we're in our head saying, nah, you know, I can withhold my desires.
Yeah, the ego comes out.
I know my deen, I know my pressures, I know all this sort of stuff. And then what happens? You end up falling into it. And then you're sitting there, you're like, oh, Allah was right. Of course Allah was right. Do you know what I mean? He created you that way. But like, see, there's like us as humans, we're created a certain type of way. Like we all have a natural predisposition towards certain things. Our nafs. We're always inclined to our nafs.
Yeah.
Yeah? So whatever it is you believe you got a control of, if someone's warned you against it, especially if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has warned you against it, you got to be wary of it. Do you know what I mean? Otherwise you fall into those traps that you thought you never would. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's always wisdom behind like all like the specific nafs we have to deal with and like stay away from that, Allah said. But then also obviously social acceptance comes in, teenage years especially. You want to be cool, you want to be part of the boys and all that. You want to do everything they do. And just it's very dangerous, those teenage years.
I want to ask you, bro. You know the way in London now and in America, I think they've been doing it for a while. Yeah, everyone's on this gang culture and stuff like that.
I know where this is going.
Is it is it all rolling down here to Australia now, or are we a bit far off from all that?
Honestly, well, I think we're deeper in it than we even think, you know. And there's so many stories and so many things that you don't hear, and then when you hear about it, you're like, that's not even possible. Like I wouldn't even imagine that. So yeah, I think it's definitely a thing, but also I feel like it's there because of what is going on in the youth in a sense when it comes to trying to be successful. So if these kids are going to school and they're finding school very difficult, and then they're finding all these other pressures, and they see these people on TV that are having the most fun in the whole world, all right, and then that's obviously like, you know what, this is not working out for me, let me try that. You know, so there's not enough people that are actually promoting academic success, promoting deen success, promoting those sort of things. So when they see all this other, you know, this other culture, and it's like literally you don't have to try. You just put on these clothes, you know, act like this, and that's it. You're the coolest person in the whole world.
Allah.
Like, why wouldn't they?
Fast money, bro. That's what everyone wants.
Crazy, are they?
Yeah.
It's the easy way out. It's actually the easy way out.
That's the thing, though, because
there's a guy in front of you that you don't like. Let me just bash him. Okay, legit. No, it's legit. Let me just fight him. Or you know what? There's these guys here that look a bit cool.
Yeah.
What are they doing? Selling drugs. Let me sell drugs.
Yeah.
Like it's just like.
But I think it's deeper than that.
Yeah, 100%.
It's a lot deeper than that.
I think it's way deeper than that. I think it's
Sorry, Habib, go for it.
It's okay.
You're the guest,
after
you're the
you.
guest, man. You gotta go.
No, I think it's like kind of like you have to look at like, you know, household. You have to look at.
It's the area as well.
Area in a sense, because you know, look, for example, like
don't name areas.
I'll stay away from that. But I think it's everywhere now. Like, there's no such thing as
in particular areas, it's way more prevalent.
Because I think it's about the density of population.
I get you.
You get what I'm saying?
You can't stay away from it.
Yeah.
Over where you're talking about,
yeah.
You leave the house, it's in front of you.
Yeah, 100%. But also it's kind of like those sort of areas as well. So you have to look at the educational system around there, you know?
Terrible schools.
When you go to the schools, like, you know, young African kids or what it is, they get stereotypes so quickly. As soon as they walk into the class, yep, this kid's going to go, he's going to sit towards the back of the class, he's going to be a troublemaker. If all the friends talk, I don't care, they're all in trouble. Like, even if the guy's not talking,
Yeah.
So it's kind of like they're just...
There's like a cult mentality within the kids.
So it's really difficult. No, I'm saying within teachers, man.
Even within teachers, but because the kids are suffering as a collective, say one or two do the wrong thing and everyone else is, oh, you know what, all you guys are like this. The kids themselves say, you know what, let's band together,
well,
F this.
Yeah. Now, I remember like, back when I was going to school, there was a guy that was like, mashallah, amazing kid, you know, he's captain, this, that, whatnot. But then he was told, oh, you're too, like, done.
too white
Yeah.
among the boys.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you know, you're a snitch, this, that, one. So they kind of get rejected from the bigger group.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, where do you really go? You know, that's where it's important for like in the
Individual-
household
Yeah.
to have that sort of that
The
that
reassurance.
support, that reassurance that you know that what you're doing is right, and you know you're on the right path, and you know you're gonna be amazing one day.
Mm.
All that kind of stuff. Because if everything around you is telling you you're not,
Mm.
you know, where are you gonna go?
Yeah, well,
Mm.
it's I think there was like this thing where they were talking about how the way if there's no social acceptance for a kid, especially when he goes home, like he has no safe spot or safe zone, like they feel isolated to the point
Yeah.
where they feel like they have to gain their peers' acceptance. So they
Yeah.
kind of push towards all that. So then they end up falling into things like selling drugs, or doing bad things like violence or stuff like. I'll give you an example. Like I know a person who used to always fall into like, you know what I mean, like the whole I have to be staunch, I have to be alpha male, I have to
Yeah.
be that sort
Yeah.
of guy
Yeah.
in order to get respect. And you look at him, you're like, bro, why do you need people's respect? Because you need it.
Mm.
Yeah, you don't live life without people's
Mhm.
respect.
Mhm.
And he's just always fighting people or punching on. Someone looks at him the wrong way. No one breathes in his direction. He just wants to punch on, like for some reason. And that's the thing though, because they don't have no social acceptance at home. No one knows that there's always like a deeper rooted thing that's going on in the background. That's why you're saying like parenting is the most important thing.
Yeah, and I think that speaks to mental health in a sense. And I feel like it's that no one talks. You know, no one talks anymore, and
It talks to who?
talk to someone, anyone, bro.
No, as in like if you're 16 years old and you're struggling at school and you go home and mom and dad just focus on something else and
That's
as in-
that's the issue. What I'm saying is that it's not
Yeah.
about the young person not talking or whatnot. It's about just an opportunity to talk.
yeah.
Or if you feel something, just talk to someone. You know, just
Mm.
create the opportunity. But then it's up to the parents and you know the mentors, the uncles, the aunties,
Mm.
you know the older siblings, all that to create opportunity for someone to talk.
Mm.
Right?
Mm.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah. What I was saying in terms of like, for example, young persons, you know, being told one thing about school, being told one thing, you know, from a parent. All these things are like all these processes are going into their mind, right? And their minds are ticking, but they have nowhere to like release that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can get
Yeah, it's
overwhelmed.
all
yeah.
input, output.
Yeah. So it just keeps going and keeps going. And every single day you're hearing the same thing. Eventually you're gonna give up.
Yeah.
You know, that's the issue. It's too much mental stress because you're already stressing about you
Yeah.
know,
But that's
what
it.
you're gonna wear.
See, that-
All that.
That's why they have to create more of those opportunities. Because like I feel like, especially with the males as well, it seems like a soft thing to do, especially
Yeah.
for teenagers. Man, imagine one kid in the class, they find out one of the guys is gonna like speak to someone, psychologist
Yeah.
at the school.
Yeah.
It's a bit embarrassing, man.
Yeah.
To be honest,
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to do that if I was in school.
Yeah.
So they need to make ways where it's like normal or like
Yeah.
not as weird.
Yeah. 100%.
I reckon it's more like the area, obviously, like the area you live in, predominantly through those crucial years, sort of forms who you are. Say you live in an area with a more of a diverse, like, community. Say the areas we're talking about indirectly.
I don't
Yeah,
know what you're talking about.
yeah, okay, yeah.
Name names.
I'm not gonna name.
I'll plead the fifth.
There's only one way
Yeah.
of doing things.
Yeah.
A guy like when we think of those areas, we think of one particular outcome.
Can I check on a quick disclaimer?
What?
All right, this is honest. Like I'm not making
Yeah.
this up just to. But then I realize, mashallah, some of the most amazing people come from those
Yes.
areas because they sort of withstand
Yep.
such adversity
Mm.
that by the time they come out of it, they're the most strongest, most resistant people,
Yeah.
resilient people. Well, the other areas that don't have the same kind of issues,
Yeah. It's sort
everyone's
of,
kind of laid back. It's kind of like, yeah, we're not that bad,
yeah.
and they end up just like going into that mentality into
One-
their mid and late 20s and whatnot. And
Mm.
you know, so you know, even though that there's
I get.
some areas have some challenges,
Mm.
like those pressure.
Pressure creates diamonds.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say
yeah.
that.
Like you said before, that kid in the class that was the smart kid, the mashallah kid,
Yeah,
people called Badan. But if there's another 3 guys like him in the classroom,
that's the issue.
he wouldn't feel
Yeah.
that type of way.
Yeah,
He wouldn't
it's
feel pressure.
Yeah,
You get me? But because there's no diversity, not though, there
Yeah.
is very little diversity in the way most of them go. I don't want to bash anybody, yeah, or bash people or
Yeah,
certain
yeah,
areas.
yeah.
Like because there's no diversity, there's no the sports group, there's no the group that does the stupid things, and there's no
Yeah.
group, the smart group, and there's just one group.
I think debatable.
Yeah.
But I feel like there are those groups,
But it's very
those
small.
groups are not culturally targeted, right? So when you come to a school and you're like a Lebanese kid, and all the Lebanese kids are all
Cooked.
want to fight people and stuff,
Yeah,
and then you come into that class and you're not really a fighter. You're gonna eventually fight people,
yeah,
right? But what you're saying in terms of like there's so much diversity within the room
yeah.
that when you come in as a Lebanese kid,
You pick.
you're just a student.
Yeah.
right? And then if your behavior is a certain way, you can react that certain
Yeah.
way.
That's on
But then when there's schools where there's a lack of diversity, you kind of just fit into the category of wherever.
yeah.
your
You
people-
eventually
your
fall
people are
into
from.
that.
This dominant culture, yeah.
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 And that's the situation for a lot of 15, 16-year-olds, depending on what school they go to. That's why at that age, a lot of parents think about changing the kid's school and should we go to this school? This obviously the last 2-3 years of school are possibly the most important.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, we want our kids to have a good future.
Yeah.
Where should we take him?
Yeah.
And depending on where he stays, obviously the parents might not be thinking about the kids. How do I say to you, kids' friends and that they might be thinking about, okay, where can this kid get the best ATAR or best VCE education?
Yeah.
You get me? But indirectly, they might also be sort of forcing him into a community that there's not a lot of diversity.
Yeah.
You get me?
I feel like sometimes like there's so many different variables. Like sometimes parents look at, all right, I've got 6 kids.
Yeah.
You know, I want to take them to this school, which is really great, but can I afford it?
Yeah.
So then there's different areas. Or can I transport this kid to a primary school, which is really good? Then his siblings in high school, so now it's 2 different travels.
Yeah.
There's so many different things that are involved in it. That makes it harder. But to speak on this, I think this is more so towards like the Somali community. Something that I learned recently. Do you know the difference between a refugee and a migrant?
A refugee is a person that seeks refuge. A migrant is a person that came here voluntarily.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Like I thought it was just black and white and that's it. But a refugee is someone that obviously comes to a country and has nothing there besides who they came with, right? And a migrant is someone that comes in, has somewhere to stay, has networks already, can get support, financial aid, all that kind of stuff. Even if they don't know the language, because they've already got someone else who came here. So in a sense, a refugee always comes before a migrant, right?
Yeah.
So in a sense, especially in our community, whether you're a refugee or you're a migrant, right, we're still building those networks. We're still like first or second generation.
Yeah.
Are we first generation Australian or are our parents first generation?
I'll be first generation. Our parents came here.
Okay, well, I wasn't born here, so.
Oh yeah, well, my parents came here.
So my siblings that were born here are first generation.
Yeah.
But I'm not.
You're not.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, so in those senses, like even the migrants that come here, they don't get that credit for the educational background, their work background. It's not recognized by the Australian government.
Yeah.
In a sense, so when we're trying to assimilate into the community, we're starting from scratch, right? And that's where a lot of these young people kind of get lost in the mix. Is that they've got no role models in a sense. Mashallah, there's a lot of young people now that are coming through, doctors, engineers, lawyers, all that kind of stuff, mashallah. But the second, we kind of came and we were growing up, so we didn't have that to look up to. We probably had, our parent that, probably did study or whatnot, but then they were stuck to factory, taxi, or whatnot, because, they're just trying to make a living, trying to, feed their family and stuff. So it's kind of like you see all these young people, and also apparently the reason why there's a massive gap in male role models, especially, is because of that anxiety, that mental health that comes with working so hard in your life, and then all of a sudden you've got nothing. So imagine you right now, you're studying, you finish it, you're working 3-4 years, you're getting unbelievable pay, and out of nowhere, none of that matters.
Yeah.
How are you gonna feel about all that effort you put into your life?
And rubbish.
What I mean? Like you're already stressing about one exam, and you have to start your whole life from scratch.
And
right?
just work.
Yeah. So there's a lot of sort of issues that happen to those men, that came in and they're just trying to create for their family now, regardless of everything. They did, nothing matters anymore. They're back to square one. And then there's also a lot of people that were lost in war, a lot of single mothers, all this kind of stuff. So that's why there's a massive gap when it comes to male role models. And I learned that like recently through just working and communicating with more people that kind of had that experience and stuff. So
because of that, do you reckon the kids use the guys in school as male role models? As in that popular guy in your classroom sort of becomes the guy you look up to instead of like the guy in the community, which there is no guy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's to a bit of that. Like you look at, okay, who's killing it, who's popular, who's having the most fun, all that kind of stuff. But also it's like we don't have that knowledge of what's available for us, what we can become. So how are you gonna have a dream if the only thing you know is doctor, and it's like 13 more years of study after school, and you're already not enjoying school? Like how's that gonna be even an option for you?
Yeah.
And like even me, I'm in a role now, alhamdulillah, absolutely loving it. Like I get to develop programs from scratch on my own, add whatever flavor I want, go out, deliver it, work with young people over a 6-month period, watch them grow, watch their achievements, and it's absolutely incredible. But a year and a half ago, I never knew this job existed. How could I ever aspire for this job if I didn't know it was even there? You know, so now it's like all of us are coming through, creating all those opportunities for ourselves, learning more about new jobs and whatnot. It's going to benefit the upcoming ones, you know, but not necessarily the ones that are kind of already.
I get that
now.
The 4 or 5-year-olds.
Yeah, the little ones are now going to look at all these guys that are working all the different
random jobs.
Jobs, and then if they talk to one person, oh, what do you do? Oh, no way. Like I told my cousin, I work for Western Bulldogs. Like, you can't play footy. I'm like, you're right. But then once I explained to him what my job was, like, what? How, you get paid for that?
Yeah, they didn't know it existed.
I'm like, yeah. So so it's about, inshallah, 10 years from now. You know, hopefully we can have a lot more.
And the variety
knowledge.
is good.
Yeah.
The variety. Our parents would never told us to become a youth development, whatever.
Yeah.
You get me?
Yeah.
Like, bro, for example, marketing or business or something like that, bro. No one taught everyone thought teacher, lawyer, doctor, architect, engineer. That's it. So
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's the thing, man. I think we're evolving as humans in general. Do you know what I mean?
Even
psychologically as well.
Yeah.
Back in the day, bro, ask your dad.
More information.
Okay, I'll keep going. Okay. So, for example, back in the day, they tell you wear your badge of honor if you're working 16-hour days. Do you know what I mean? Wear that as a badge of honor. 16-hour days. Yeah. You don't know it's deteriorating your insides. And you see the older generation now all have Alzheimer's. They all died early. They all have physical problems, health problems. They're all very angry, grumpy, man. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know. Some of them do smoke weed or pot or smoke or alcohol, whatever. It is, bro. I could keep going, bro. We got plenty of things. They do a lot of things to numb their pain. Abuse their wives, just abusive to their children, all this sort of stuff. Yeah, the older generation.
Sales gone off.
It's true though.
Not naming names. No, I'm joking. But no, like you see them, and then you have to understand, like, bro, us, if we don't get 8 hours of sleep, how grumpy are we? It's like the worst possible thing that can happen to a person. Imagine them working 16-hour days in, like, for example, the abattoirs, the ones where they cut up they cut up like the meat and stuff like that. Can you imagine they're up to their knees in blood, and they're cutting up meat and stuff like that, and they're working 16-hour days. They're broken. They smell like
whatever.
S word.
Sweat?
halal.
It's a sweat?
Shit.
Oh, I think it was a sweat, wallah.
Shite.
Okay, 2 in a
no. So they smell really bad, and they go and they just crash. You know what I mean? They just want to come home. They barely eat. They're malnourished. They have bad food to eat. Like, you can only imagine what's happening to them. Yeah. And now they're telling you things like, if you want to become successful, everyone thought it was all hard work. Do you know what I mean? But now they're telling you it's your rest, it's your work-life balance, it's your exercise, it's your meditation, it's all these sort of things that actually help you become more successful in life in general as a whole. Yeah. And then, like, it makes you think about things. 'Cause I'm a type of person that used to think, you know what, work 2-3 jobs, sleep 4 hours a day. You're getting somewhere. You're getting further than most other people are.
I feel like that's the only way of
do that though.
3 jobs?
I'm not saying it depends on the workload of the 3 jobs.
Okay.
But I'm saying you can work 2 jobs, study. 4 hours sleep is a bit crazy.
Yeah.
But the most productive I've been is when I used to get like 6 hours sleep, and then just just get up, do what I do. Because I used to do work full time, either coaching or or bright young minds or this or that. Or extra opportunities come up, and I always take it and stuff. So like, it just depends on where you're putting the energy.
Okay, I'll give you an example. Yeah. There's people that think that the more money they earn, the more successful they are. So what they do is they work more jobs, they neglect their physical, their psychological health and their spiritual health as a result. But as long as the financial is good, they think that they're successful. Yeah. But then they don't realize that all the other things, all the other aspects of their life are lacking. Spiritually, they're lacking psychologically. Like, they don't know why they get angry so much, or they just get angry, or they don't know why they're having all these health issues, or do you know what I mean? Like, that sort of stuff. Like I'm saying, like, maybe you shouldn't. And sleep as well has a big effect on your mood. Has a big, like, I don't know, I've been reading up a lot about like the benefits of a proper night's sleep in comparison to somebody who doesn't have a proper night's sleep. Yeah. Like, your whole cognitive skills in general are wasted, and they tell you to have maybe a 4-hour day that's productive, rather than a 12-hour day that's like you're half zoned out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Half pissed off, and you're not really getting much memory in, like, because it ruins your memory.
Yeah.
Health-related issues occur, that sort of stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. I feel like as like a, how do I say it? As a species, we're starting to.
I think it's more knowledge. I think it's more knowledge.
I feel like it's
Yeah.
because bro, back in the day, like, remember, I don't know, like I can't give you a certain example that can tell you like back in the day they would tell you, like, okay, I'll give you one example. AFL. I'll use that as an example. Remember they used to play back in the day?
Yeah. No,
It's
I never
rough.
watched AFL.
What? You work for Western Bulldogs, you never watch AFL?
Now I do.
No, he
He's
doesn't.
forced to.
He's joking. He's joking.
Go Dogs.
Doggy.
Yeah, okay. So back in the day, they used to always say, go hard at the ball, blah, blah, blah. If
Yeah.
you have to get in there and under,
Yeah.
put your body on the line. Nowadays, they're telling you, do not put your body on the line. NFL, same thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, they noticed what the effects of concussions are on a human being.
Yeah.
And they had that whole, what's that movie? You know, the concussion movie? The one of Will Smith?
Oh, okay. I thought the documentary that.
No. the one of Will Smith, the one that caused all those people's
No.
brain
I'm not
trauma
sure.
and that sort of stuff. You didn't watch
Have
that?
you watched the Aaron Hernandez?
Yes, another one, yeah.
I watched that,
one,
yeah.
That's more relevant.
Apparently
And
he was
recent-
26 and his brain was like 80 or something.
23,
Yeah.
23 when he died. He killed
Yeah.
himself at
Oh.
23.
And his brain was like 80 or something. I don't know,
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
stupid.
I think it was
number.
more from like not just the playing, but also like they used to give him like painkillers before the game, and even if you're hurt, they'd be like just go.
Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah, it's an
It's crazy.
NFL player.
He
Yeah.
talks about masculine,
Yeah, and
fragile
but
masculinity. And
yeah,
stuff
you have
like
to also look at like his childhood, you know,
Yeah.
the abuse he went
That
through,
was
all that kind of
crazy.
stuff. Yeah, it was a bit crazy. But let's go back to the topic of like overworking or working hard.
that. Yeah,
Yeah, I think in a sense, like to kind of rebuttal what you were saying.
go for it.
Like I agree with a lot of things. I agree that you have to have a balance. You have to look at different things. But also, I feel like some people might take what you're saying and then run with it because you know what you're talking about in terms of like you still work really hard.
Yeah.
Right. There's people that might say, okay, you know what, use it as an excuse to not work as hard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But I
I
think that when you're younger is your opportunity. You have so much energy that it's a time when you can do a 9 to 5 and then go out and do something else extra on top of it, do extra
yeah.
curricular activities to advance yourself. You know,
Yeah.
so I think if your finances are your biggest motivator, like money comes and goes. Like look at the coronavirus situation, like
But
people are losing their jobs.
How do you
like
teach?
that?
How do you teach kids that like money comes and goes? Because obviously there's like people can have options with having getting a job
Yeah,
in year 10 straight away, any type of job. Let's
Yeah.
just say fast food, just for the sake of the money, the pay slips,
Mhm.
or they can just do an internship at like Melbourne City,
yeah.
do volunteer work, and then eventually get a job. How do you encourage kids to take those opportunities more than just for the sake of money?
I think it's mostly like day to day stuff. Like if they're doing little chores around the house, they learn that responsibility of like, okay, I need to do this, I need to do
Yeah.
that, and then I think it's always good to balance paid work and volunteering, because I think the volunteering adds a lot of personality towards you in terms of you're not getting paid. You have to hit a certain standard, and that takes motivation. While if you're getting paid, and let's be honest, a lot of people that do work like fast food restaurants or whatnot, they just do it. Like they don't enjoy it.
Yeah, just for
And
the sake
yeah,
of the pay
so it'll
slip.
feel a lot better. You'll learn a lot more sort of respect, motivation, all that kind of stuff. And it depends on where you volunteer as well. So if you're volunteering somewhere where you want to have a career in, that's going to help you down the line in getting a job. It's about letting the people understand that and telling stories. So I think my story in particular is that my career was literally based off volunteering.
Oh,
Like
wow.
I was studying pharmaceutical science straight out of uni. Didn't enjoy it, dropped out after a few years and got into health information management. And now I'm working in sports. So definitely my educational studies didn't really get me into it. But ever since I was young, and I think you remember when I was 19, I was coaching under 15s. Ashraf. Yeah, superstar, mashallah. And that was purely because like I understood that I never thought that volunteer would take me anywhere, but I just loved sports, right? I loved soccer, and I knew that if I'm going to study, all right, I need to just at least have something where I just enjoy. So it's more recreational. And I used to play, but then once I got to under 18 level, I saw all the coaches in my local club and I was like, they're not giving the kids the best opportunities. They're not they have this a lot of favoritism, a lot of little issues. And I was like, let me just go out there and just give kids an opportunity.
Yeah, give
you
it a
know?
go yourself.
And like even till now, I don't have a coaching certificate. Like I
Oh,
just
well, no way.
Yeah, just used to watch YouTube.
All these years, I thought you had one.
Nah. Like I got a job at Melbourne Victory, and they're like,
Coach
do
Majors.
you have a grassroots? I'm like, no.
And they
They're
still,
like, what?
they were surprised
Yeah, they were shocked.
because they seen like where you've been coaching over the years.
Yeah, they've seen like the sort of I developed a whole manual for the club on how every team should train and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then and then
Impressive.
that's before I go into Victory. And then they were like, they just assumed that I had some
The
sort of
grassroots,
coaching,
yeah.
studies and stuff.
So did I guess the volunteer work got you into your career?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
with working with the youth and that as well, because it kind of comes from interest as well that drives you, like love of sports. Sports is a massive thing for volunteering.
Yeah.
Other than the sports, it's hard to for kids to find the interest.
Yeah.
Like there's not as many opportunities. Like maybe now with schools, there's more programs like yourself
Yeah.
conducting these programs. But the school I went to, private school, I feel like they didn't give those opportunities as much,
Yeah.
and it didn't seem as appealing.
Yeah.
You know, seeing that there's maybe a casual job on the other side of it, of the volunteering, like there's opportunities.
Yeah.
So like I feel like they need more of those programs and that.
Yeah. So I think networking is really important.
Yeah.
And just everyone just sharing their experiences, just for the betterment of young people, just to know what can lead into stuff. Because I think, like, if you offered me the jobs that I've had, I would have just took it straight away. But I didn't know that I had to work hard without getting paid, and I had no intention of that. But then, I think that almost in a sense that helps you,
Yeah.
not having that, because if you have the intention and you're volunteering for like a year and no result, like no one's calling you up for a job and stuff, you might be like you might quit because you're literally doing it for that. So I think when you're volunteering, always just volunteer somewhere where you kind of care about what they're doing, you kind of invested, and then let everything go from there. Let everything guide you. And I think also my educational background might seem very irrelevant. Well, pharmaceutical science was irrelevant, but health information management was a lot on like data management. And then now when I go into a sports industry and I have the ability to deliver a sport, so at Melbourne Victory we were doing like school clinics. You go into schools, you have a kick with the kids, basically just give them a few scarves and all that. Just make sure they have the best time ever, and hopefully they become fans of the club. That's basically what the aim is. But then when I can do that really well, and then I go into the office and I'm able to like collect all the information properly, be very efficient with Excel spreadsheets and all that kind of stuff, was from studying health information management.
Yeah,
And that takes you to a different level. To everyone else that might have just studied sports that can do all that stuff that you can do. So that's where volunteering teaches you one skill, and then the educational component might teach you something else, and then having that working experience might teach you something. Because I worked at Nando's as my first ever job, and
How old were you then?
17.
What did I teach you?
That like I was, mate, if you're in the back kitchen staff of the Nando's and it's peak hour, it's ridiculous. You're basically putting the chicken on the grill, putting the chips in there. Chips is like a 30-second timer. The chicken, you got to flip it in time. You got to get all the basings and every flavors right. And then the dishes are on you. So if there's a lot of customers, you got to wash the dishes too. And then the chicken in the back's a bit roasted. You got to flatten it out perfectly. Like you're literally in that whole kitchen. It's probably just you and one other person. That's it.
It's like so precise.
Yeah, everything. And if you get it wrong, like
Wow.
they don't put the order out. You start again. That order goes to the side. You start that all over again. So then that's going to delay you when more orders are coming in. So you got to really be on the ball. So that teaches you like a lot of like multitasking.
Something I can't do. I can't multitask.
Yeah. So you should have done Nando's.
Well, you can't.
Genuinely, I can't multitask.
Yeah. And you get to make your own food on the break, whatever you want.
Sorry, bro. You got 3 more years for your brain to fully develop.
Yeah, that's true. You got time. But no, so like work, volunteering, studying, they all teach you very different skills. And if you kind of do a mixture of all of them, it comes together. And at the end of the day, like whatever you become is the will of Allah. So you just got to go 100% in everything you do. Yeah.
And try something new.
Yeah.
Always try something new. The kids are just like. I just got to.
Yes, coronavirus.
You alright?
Hey, relax.
Don't shake.
Coughing.
Don't shake his hand.
The kids are sort of just with the like the younger generation. The current now, they're alright. As in they can see above them. There's engineers. There's not yet.
Yeah.
They're studying. People are studying to be engineers and stuff. But optometrists and dentists and doctors and youth development, whatever. Yeah, what was your job called again?
Youth development coordinator.
Coordinator.
It's called youth work or community development or whatever. Whatever you want.
Like a variety of things. But when I was younger, I didn't see that. Like we were just caught up in. Alhamdulillah, at a young age, I discovered feet and discovered podiatry.
When they woke up, looked at us, oh, they're
but like I took that path.
Yeah.
And no one really showed me. I didn't see any Somali people there. I didn't see any people that I thought, oh yeah, I look up to this guy, A, B, C, D.
Yeah.
Like I just said, you know what? Let me just try this new thing, you know, because just tickle my pickle. You know, it sounds a bit weird, but I just try something new. You get me? And a lot of young kids, they don't really want to try something new. They're like, oh, this person did this, so let me do the same thing he did. Or
I think it's almost I don't know. I'm not talking about Somali community. Like this kind of the community that I know the best. I think it's kind of like our thing.
Yeah, think of it. How many restaurants have you seen?
Restaurants. How many? When taxi was big, everyone was a taxi. And then Uber became big, everyone went an Uber. And then family daycares, everyone family daycares. Yeah,
it's just more of like a copycat thing.
We wait until someone's successful, someone takes a risk, and then once we fully watch their process of like, okay, this person made it, now I'll try it. I'll tell everyone.
So the next big thing's youth work now.
I guess so. Yeah, there's actually a lot of people going into youth work.
There is, I've realised that.
Yeah.
Creative.
Who started that trend? Not me.
Salim.
I'm still climbing the ladder.
So we heard from a little birdie that you do poetry. Is it true?
Who's this bird?
It's a big bird, actually.
let me play some bars right now.
Wallah, do it.
Legit.
He actually wrote something, bro. Wallah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Me?
Yeah. What's that?
What I write?
Can I get in the camera for it?
Yeah.
Get it.
Let's go.
What did I write?
Don't be shy.
Are you on my page?
Don't be shy. Don't be shy. My very first mission of 2020 is to protect my energy. Things that don't benefit me will live long in memory. Evaluate the value of everything I plan to invest in. You like this?
Buzz.
It's pretty good. I'll give it like a 7 out of 10.
Stay hydrated, mind my own business, and count my blessings. Because I've seen way too many things that I wasn't expecting. For better. Do you not understand this is yours?
Yeah, I know.
Oh.
I even asked him, like, are you on my Instagram page before you even started reading?
It gave me a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I did on purpose. Me, honestly, I write basically like maybe overnight. I just post it straight away. I don't really edit too much and stuff. So I don't think my writing
quick flex,
is good.
It was 2 second thing.
No, but I'm saying like I don't find it that.
Why poetry? How? When? What? Like,
How?
yeah, it's not like how did it happen? Like,
a lot of questions.
Yeah.
I think it was back in high school. I was in
it's like a love letter
No.
to a girl or something like
down.
that. He didn't deny it.
Alright, listen. Alright, it was in high school. I was in year 12, and then we were studying Shakespeare. And you know Shakespeare writes in like old English and and rhyme and whatnot. So there's a homework on like you have to create your own passage. And I was writing it, and then my friend didn't want to do it. It's like, this is the worst ever. So I did his homework too. And then we both got like A+, and the teacher's like, he doesn't normally get A+ in English.
What's going on?
So then he kind of he came out to me and was like, what are you doing? And then and because I used to love English when I was going to school. And then he's like, oh, so did he do his homework for him? And then me, I was too innocent. I'm like, yeah. Hey, listen, no comment. So yeah, I'm like, yeah, I did it. And he's like, oh, you know what? You're actually really good. You should like keep doing it just for fun. And then back then when I was in year 12, I was school captain. And like before that, I was very shy. I would just be like an average kid in class. Like I wouldn't get like A's, but I wouldn't get like F's. I just get like C's and B's, and I'd never get in trouble. So like, I was just going through the motions in school. And then the school I was at, the captaincy process was very different. So you don't put your hand up for it. Teachers will nominate who they think has the potential to be captain. And then the students will vote.
So teachers and students vote?
Yeah, so the teachers will like put like 4 people up or 5 people up, and then all the kids will vote. So like I got majority of the votes, and I thought it was a prank. I'm like, no, I don't want. I don't even want to be captain. I actually did not want to be. And then they're like, no, you have to. And I'm like, all right. And then from that point, I was like, you know what, I might as well just give it a go. I'm already here. And that's when I started developing like public speaking and all that kind of stuff. I was super shy, wallah.
Oh.
And I think if I didn't have that experience, I probably wouldn't even be on this podcast. I wouldn't even want to talk.
Well, that's amazing. Something you just got pushed into.
Yeah, 100%. Like, and listen to, like, you got to appreciate people that see things in you that you don't even see. You know, if that teacher never said, you know, I see potential in you, you know, the way you carry yourself, all that kind of stuff, you can be a leader in the school. I would have never really saw myself beyond just, you know, let me just finish school, basically. And in that year, I was kind of like going through, like, let me just try whatever comes my way. And it's what you're saying, just try something new.
Yeah.
And then at that point, I started, you know, writing and stuff in my own time. And then there was those Facebook pages back in the days, which we used to like little rap battles and stuff. Yeah. And, you know, I used to always jump in and yeah, it was
Super hard.
dark times. No, it wasn't that bad.
Super sad.
But then I used to do that a little bit. And then there was a friend of mine that saw like my writings and stuff and like this little stuff that I used to do. And he's like, oh, you know, come perform. And I'm
Perform?
Like, I was like, I'm not sure about that. He's like, nah, just do it.
So you went to this poetry slams?
Yeah, that wasn't a slam.
Oh.
It was kind of just the event. It's a poetry event.
Oh.
There was actually an international poet there.
International
Have
today?
you heard of no? Not today. What do you mean
I
today?
thought you meant the day.
No, the day that I was performing, my first ever performance.
International Poet Day.
Yeah, no, not what?
Poetry. I'm confused.
There was an international guest poet that came.
He just speaks.
Holy
Okay, what?
shakes. Shakespeare came through.
No. Resurrected. No, it was Amir Suleiman. I'm not sure if you've heard of him.
No.
Yeah, check him on YouTube. It's actually really amazing. But he was there, and then like I went like a whole hour early just to rehearse. 'Cause I'm like, I've never been in front of a stage.
You're nervous.
Like, kind of
yeah.
But
shy.
did you know who's there?
No, if I knew, because I used to watch him on YouTube and stuff.
Oh.
If I knew he was there, I would have shat my pants.
Oh.
Like, good thing I didn't know. So, and then I was there for like a whole hour, and there was like one person in the crowd that was kind of like helping organize the event. He's just watching me for like an hour, like giving me advice and stuff. And there was little things that I added to my performance just from being there a whole hour early that actually helped me, because there was a time when I started, but then I did a prop like it was about like growing up in like Africa, all that kind of stuff. And then I'm like, and then this point I said, and then I saw change, and then people thought, you know, my life changed. Then I dropped coins, and the crowd went nuts. But then I actually started at that point. I got stuck. But then luckily, because the crowd was going off for like 30 seconds, I regained my composure.
He dropped change on the floor.
Was it dropping the change accident or on purpose?
No. That's something that I added to my thing because I was there.
Because it started.
No.
Oh.
I added it earlier, but then thankfully I did that because at that point I kind of buckled.
Oh.
But the crowd started going off.
It was a cover up.
And it gave me time to recover myself. So I got a bit lucky there. But then
like when they went off, did they do this when they get off,
Yeah,
or
they
they go
went-
crazy?
it's Africans, bro.
Oh yeah. Oh good.
But yeah, so after I did like 3 or 4 other performances and stuff, but I'm like, nah, it's not for me.
Then what happened
So
when you
now I
realized
just
like, Amir was there?
Oh, nah, he came to, I said, oh, mashallah, this guy's the most massive human being that I'll ever meet.
Physically massive.
Physically. Like, I think America, they're
Oh
they're built different
yeah.
over there.
There's something different.
So there's like these stairs that I was going up, and then someone like, someone came up to me like, oh, amazing, this, that, whatnot. So while I was talking to them, I turned around, and this guy's coming down from the stairs. I didn't even see him. The place was dark. And this guy always has full black for some reason. And he put his hand on my shoulder. There's like these massive hands on my shoulder. And I turned around, I looked up, and all I see is like he has this beard that just comes down from the bottom. So I look up, I just see this beard pointing at me. I'm like, who's this? And this is like, oh, you know, amazing stuff, this, that, and that. And it's like, Amir. So, no, it was incredible.
Did you hug
But
him?
no, I'm not, huh?
Did you embrace him?
Nah, I was so nervous. I don't think I even moved from the spot for like 5 minutes. But nah, so yeah, I did a few more performances, and then I realized that performing is not really for me.
Oh, so
Why?
that was your
Why?
only performance?
Nah, I did like 3 or 4 after that, and I was like, nah, it's not really.
What is it? Isn't the fact that they're on stage, there's people watching you?
Yeah, I think honestly,
Attention.
I don't rehearse. Like, there's a thing that I do when I'm doing programs, I'm doing delivery, I'm doing whatnot, where I kind of like go off adrenaline and kind of freestyle when I'm with people. So like when I run programs, like I know what my topic is going into it, and then I kind of gauge the audience. And because if you come over prepared for like youth programs,
Yeah.
it's kind of backfire. Like if you're reading off slides and all that kind of stuff, like you got to really feel the room. And I think I take that into like a lot of things that I do. So then I don't rehearse enough for that, and then I go on stage and I like buckle half the time, and I'm like, nah, I'm more of a page poet, not a stage poet.
Bars.
Yeah.
Even drop. Apparently, you made a specific poem for FairDinkum, and you're gonna perform it live on air.
Yeah. 2025. Stay tuned.
It's gonna be a long wait, bro.
That's when I'm sure brain fully develops.
No, 2023. 2023.
Okay,
3 years from now. Come on,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah, sorry, bro.
Respect
Nah,
me.
on average,
You're saying I'm gonna do it on 27.
no, on average 25.
Then on
For you, it's 27. Nah, I'm joking.
Oh Lord.
All right, so we have some questions from the Instagram we asked. So we got a few. Would you like the funny ones or the serious ones first?
Some
Do
mad
I think mix it up.
you think we should say all of them?
Nah, don't say all of them. Don't express it. There's only 3.
Which one?
Just say them all at random, bro. Why
Go
not?
quick.
It's not much. I don't. If you say all of them, say like we'll put like half and just
Well,
do like
they
75%.
They blew up our DMs, cuz.
Why you lying?
Okay.
Ask the questions that I asked you.
I'll just ask my friend. No worry.
Which one? Okay, should I say the at or no?
Say the at.
Okay.
Is this a setup?
No, it's
No,
not.
this that. Our first question. When did you decide that you would share your passion of poetry with the people?
Honestly, I think maybe for like 2 years I was writing without like telling anyone. And then
Like no one.
no one. I just used to write for myself. Like it's good. It's a self-expression.
No, I understand that, but like
you get things off your chest. It's like if you don't have that, like you're not just opening up to everyone. It's a way just to open up on like a piece of paper or on your notes or whatnot. Like when your mind's full, and then you just move on from it. You know. So it's
It's kind of like journaling.
I still can't. There's a lot of pieces that I've written. I've never shared.
So it's more of a personal thing.
It's half an hour. Yeah, it started off personal,
Mm.
and then after I think there was a point in time when I started sharing 1 or 2, and then I liked the sort of the attention I was getting.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And then I'm like, oh, let me just do it for fun. And then I think at that point when I started sharing it, I started writing for people, like for their reactions. Someone told me, "Oh, write about this and whatnot," and then I started forcing it in a sense. And then I lost my passion.
Yeah, you realized the
Right.
intentions were changing a bit. Slightly.
Yeah. And I think for like maybe 2 years I didn't write whatsoever, and then I started writing for myself again, and then I started sharing it based on what I want to write. I just write things. I just share it now. That's what I was saying. Like I just write overnight, or I might just think of one line while I'm driving, like randomly, and then like 2 weeks later I look back at that line and I just elaborate from there. And as soon as I finish something, I just put it up. I don't even I do spell check obviously, and that's it.
You don't dwell on it.
Huh?
You don't dwell on it. And think
I don't. Because
That's good.
why not?
One was, how do you? Oh, this is a bit deep one. How do you see the youth in 10 years' time? Muslim youth.
So
Or
the
the
question,
youth you work with. How's that?
like my work, or
The one you're more comfortable with. This one.
I
Somali one.
think at the moment I don't really work with them as much as I used to in terms of like programming and all that kind of stuff, and that because of obviously coronavirus. I think low community football is going to get closed down for a bit. Season might not even be on. But in terms of, so the question can be multi-layered.
I literally say the question Muslim youth.
Yeah, no, but I don't know. I want to ask you a question to, well, obviously I can't ask the person the question. But is it the youth now in 10 years?
Yeah.
Or is it the youth 10 years from now?
How about you answer both?
Okay.
The youth now in 10 years? What do you think?
It's crazy because I think it's pretty tough situation at the moment. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of things that are being exposed to the community that I'm in. That's kind of like probably gonna get worse before it gets better. And I wish I that wasn't true, and I still hope it's wrong. But just my honest opinion, that there will be kids that will fall through the cracks. There will be kids that will find their feet and live absolutely amazing lives. But at the end of the day, I think 10 years from now, there's a lot of them that are closing doors for themselves that they shouldn't. Like educational doors, employment doors, all that kind of stuff. That because when you're young, the moment you're born, you've got unlimited potential in a sense, right? And then it's obviously whatever Allah's written for you, and then from there, there's some choices that you can make along the way. But I think there's a lot of wrong choices being made. So yeah, I think it's not looking great, but there's always good and there's always bad. But then I think the youth of 10 years from now, like the ones 10 years from now that are going to be 13, 14 and whatnot, I think are going to be in a much better place than what we were growing up and what the ones that are grown up now are, because obviously, like I said, people like yourself and everyone else and people that are even older than us that are getting into these fields and working all these jobs and got all this experience and stuff will become those options, career pathway options. And all this kind of stuff. Like no one can tell you can't be it because you're seeing someone that is it. So I think that they'll be in a much better position.
Do you feel like not being pessimistic or anything, but then that's also the truth and vice versa?
In a sense, or what do you mean?
Like for example, because the way we're saying that there's a lot of opportunities that are opening up.
Yeah.
So kids are starting to see a lot more potential and everything else.
Yeah.
But then they're also exposed to the other life. They're also exposed to the easy money. They're exposed to the people who are up there. They don't see the whole hard work behind all the process, and they expect things to come quick. Like for example, someone wants to be a chef. Yeah. They just say Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah.
Guy's been working 30 years in the industry.
Yeah.
And they only see the plate that he puts out. And they're thinking, I'll try it for a year or so, or whatever, but I can't get to that standard. But they don't realize that that's 30 years of 30 years of hard work to get to that. The problem is, I feel like the kids want the easier way out nowadays. Do you know what I mean? Like, not all of them, but that's the thing. I feel like it's true that either end of the spectrum can occur. And it's prevalent in, for example, the youth in UK, for example, yeah? You have kids who are absolutely phenomenal, who are finding the pressure and they're using it for their own benefit. And then there's the ones that are succumbing to the pressure and causing them their own demise. Do you get where I'm coming from?
Yeah, yeah.
So I think it could be true both ways. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think one thing that's definitely going to be a massive positive is that, for me and where I got to, I didn't just get there myself. I had mentors. I had people that kind of saw where I was, saw something in me, and then pulled me up in a sense.
Yeah.
So I think there'll be more people that can pull the young people up in a sense once they hit the age of 18, 19, 20. And especially right now at the age I'm 27, there's so many opportunities that come past me that I see. I might share a job on my Instagram story or whatnot, this and that. Or there might be someone might come out and say, I'm looking for a young person that can do a casual job in this role or whatnot. But unfortunately, there's not enough people that I can be like, that person's perfect for it. Because then when you recommend someone, your reputation is also on the line, right? But I think 10 years from now, there'll be so many of us that can pull the young people up if they're just acting right in a sense.
Yeah.
That it'll create more positive outcomes.
Yeah, no, for sure. But yeah,
it's like a thing what we said before. It's I think a lot more things are gonna go wrong first, then right. Because that I reckon it's gonna reach a stage where there's those people that get the easy money and people know them in the community. Right now, there's not many people in the community in our community, that are prominent in the easy money or that life.
Yeah.
And there's not many in the other life where the doctors and engineers. So right now, the next generation, that's the 16-year-old or even us.
Yeah.
There's people our age that have fallen off the rails, are into that life already.
Yeah.
So for the next generation, the ones that are coming 13, 14-year-old in 10 years' time, they get to see both sides. They get to see both sides. And that's when they make an intrinsic decision. Yeah. Because right now, all the kids, what they see is just what they see. It's not it's there's nothing above them. Yeah. There's no all they see is the dad working taxi and the uncles working taxi and their brother's still studying and they don't see any developments. Yeah. But the ones that are 6, 7 years old, or 5, 6, 7, that age, when inshallah when we make something out of ourselves, they can see both sides. That's when obviously right now, obviously I can work hard for myself, but I gotta have some sort of inkling, or something in my head telling me, okay, Abshir, yes, do A, B, C, D for yourself, but don't forget that there's your younger niece or nephew or this little kid there that knows of you or that is looking up to you.
And I think
sorry, have you go?
The one thing I want to say as well is that I think one thing that's an issue is that there's not enough people that are trying to live a positive life that are out there for kids to actually access in terms of communication, in terms of asking questions or whatnot. But the people that are out there just wilding out, they're so easy to see. You just follow their Instagram, you'll see everything they're up to. They look so cool and they're so easy, they're so accessible. And the people that are doing good kind of hide away from the scene because the evil eye and whatnot. So you gotta believe that the power of Allah is more powerful than the evil eye. Yeah, you got to go back into your community and strengthen it in a sense. And I think that's where the biggest issue is, because there might be 50% that are doing great, 50% that are not. On the right sort of on the right path, on the right tracks or whatnot. But then they're so more visible. They're so much louder in a sense than all the people that are not that are doing all the right things or trying to, or kids might look at them and see them stressing about studying, stressing about work. They don't even see you at all whatsoever, and they see someone else just having absolute fun. 24/7.
Buying the newest clothes and
so
always out and about.
that's going to shape obviously what the kid sees as success. So I think there needs to be more people that just out there involved in the community.
Outwardly showing what they're doing.
100%. I think you're a great role model. You need to be out there more.
I don't know if he's being serious or not, but
why not?
thank you for that, Wallah.
I got you, bro.
Alhamdulillah, it's not Ramadan. You can lie and get away with it, but
That's bastard. Yeah, no, Wallah, there's a lot out there. There's a lot of people that
I think it's
that are doing very well. That we know, we both know that that aren't even on social media.
Yeah.
Let alone.
Yeah.
I think it's people's, like, I feel like it's our lack of exposure to the natural process of growth. Does that make sense? So the process of growth is to fail and to stuff up a million times, but then you get better every time you fail.
Everyone wants from here to there.
Exactly. Everyone just wants to go to the end, the end result. That's the problem. I feel like, and then it's very demoralizing not to get to there straight away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's. I feel like that's the problem with social media. Everyone sees the highlight reel. No one actually sees the whole background of what's going on. I feel like that's demoralizing as a kid who grew up in that same generation. Like me seeing, I don't know, Dustin Martin playing AFL. I never knew what he did back in the day. I thought it was just basically because he's Aussie, and he's white guy.
He made it. He had
decent athletic ability. He can run about 4 kilometers an hour or whatever it is. Sorry, 4 kilometers.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. Like I thought basically his 4
kilometers
an hour. Like they had a Wally moment.
Come courts, you'll see a lot of that.
Yes, courts. You have to, man.
Yeah. No, basically, that's it. That's the thing. Like you feel like, okay, it's just predisposition for certain people to have woken up and just gotten whatever they got. And then no one ever sees like the hard work in the background.
And I think another issue with that as well is that people share their successes. Obviously, like no one should like share failures just like that. But then when you're having that conversation with a young person, you need to be honest, be open, and open up and show that vulnerability that, okay, you know what, I was going this way and this happened, and then I was studying and then I dropped out of it. Like kids will look at me and think, that I've finished school, finished uni straight away, got a job, and just kept elevating. Yeah. But then there were times when things didn't work out, where I didn't get a new contract on a job, or I was studying for 2 years and I didn't like it, I left it. Yeah. So I think it's good for kids to know that it's not always going to be success every single step of the way. That's where that negative experience absolutely deteriorates their ambitions, because they don't see anyone else. They think everyone else is just easy success, whether it's good or negative.
Yeah.
I think we're coming to an end. How about some final, since you're a poet, how about some final piece? Not a bar or anything, just some advice, since you're a youth worker, just something just to seal the whole episode right now.
Can I ask?
Yeah,
I'll ask the question. I want to get each of your opinions on it.
Go.
And
start from the right.
Wrap it up on that. Start from the right.
Yeah.
Table turner.
All right, and this is something I was thinking about, and I just want to know what other people think about it as well. Do you agree that people that think the world can't be changed are people that are incapable of changing themselves?
Yes. Aren't capable of changing themselves?
Yeah.
I believe that's the truth. Yes.
Do you believe that you can change the world, or the world can change?
No, I feel like you change yourself, and then your actual world changes.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, do you believe that the world can change? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
Next.
Yeah.
Ollie.
Do either of you think that you can change the world, or the world can change?
100%.
I think you can change the world. Comes down to solely your efforts and what you think of yourself as well, how you portray yourself, because you can think of outer sources like from other people, your families and friends, to tell you what type of person you are, introvert, extrovert, whatever it is. Good communication, bad communication.
Ultravert, I love it.
What?
He's dying.
Did I say ultravert? No way. I'm too into it.
Well, I ruined him, bro.
Yeah, so I think it just comes down to your perspective and how you look at yourself and what you think you can accomplish. Like you can easily limit yourself as well, having from the inner thoughts, and that can really just change on what you think and what you can do in your future.
Can Absha change the world?
Definitely. We just, like you said before, we just need to be a bit more outwardly with your. People need to show good more often than bad to the youth.
What does that do, but?
They get to see both sides. I can sit here and say all the guys that get the easy money and are out and about and live the bad lifestyles. Like I can say, guys, stop, but they're not gonna stop. You get me? They're doing them. But to counteract that, I reckon guys that are teaching the Quran and studying full time and working full time and grinding their socks and doing the boring stuff, yeah, that has longevity and has barakah in it, should start. Fi billah, start showing it off. As in, like, not showing it off, start showing it and displaying it to the kids.
Start showing themselves.
Yeah.
Like being proud of who they are.
I know probably 20 guys that are very mashallah, but don't show what they're doing. Don't know this person here finished a mechanical engineering degree, has a company where he teaches this particular thing, and he's trying to open a new company right now. But he's not more out, like he's not out there. And where this bloke here rents a car for $1,000 a week or something and shows it off on his Instagram story. You get me? And the grand he's making is not from halal means. You get what I'm talking about?
Those lines are blurred, but it's all about your intention in the end.
That's what I'm talking about. That's the one I fi billah.
Yeah.
I said, if it's for the sake of Allah, just do it. Like I said before, just say the power of Allah is more powerful
than the evil eye.
Yeah. So literally just those who are doing good, be more out there, be more, you know. I reckon that's a solution for the youth. Because right now the 13-year-olds, if you ask them what do you see out there, all they see is negative. Like I said before, like to prevent. No, like I said before, you said there'll be bad before there is good. But to prevent that little downfall, if the kids are more exposed to more good right now at that crucial age,
and I think
there's a chance.
I want to pick up on one thing that you said. I think you said negative, right? But I think that word is based on perspective, right? So for us, it's negative because we kind of know
what's wrong, what's right.
Yeah, what's wrong, what's right in a sense, maybe. But then for the young people, like let's say you're 13, 14, all right, you put up a photo of you in a khamis or in a suit, and you got like 23, 40, you know, maybe up to 40 likes. No one's sharing on their stories. And then you put up a photo of you in a full tracksuit.
And the hand signs.
You're doing all this and that.
Yeah.
And then you get 100 likes. You know, everyone's commenting your thing. 10 people are sharing it. Is that not positive?
That's positive in their eyes to them.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So I think it's about
change the mindset.
Yeah, changing what's positive, what's negative. And then also I think there's and this is similar to the whole your brain doesn't fully develop until you're on average 25 for a male. There's also a part of the brain that thinks about like long-term consequences, and that doesn't develop in you until you're in your mid-20s as well. So what these kids kind of living is impulse. Now. I put this photo up now. What's going to happen? I'm going to get 100 likes now. I'm going to get this many shares now. You know, so it's not like, okay, if I do this 5 years from now, you know, my reputation is going to be this.
Yeah, they don't think that,
You know, so that's not developed in the young person. So I think it's up to the ones that are mature to step in, get involved, and help them out with that.
It comes to do with consciousness now. Like just being conscious or aware. I think, you know, you're like you said, it takes a bit of time to gain that.
Let's let them like exactly. But what they're seeing is not everything. If that makes sense. If you expose them to everything,
and I think I don't agree with the let them go through it thing.
This is the thing. You can advise anyone you want, but I feel like change comes intrinsically.
But it depends.
The world around you changes based off your own willingness to change. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if you're a person who's open towards different perspectives and you're open to being incorrect or wrong or moving a certain type of way, like you can't give anybody a black and white view of the world. Does that make sense?
You can't.
As soon as you give someone a black and white view of the world, they start to feel very boxed in.
Yeah.
And then when they feel boxed in, they feel like they either like it's all like this you know, like being on either end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like being a liberal or a Republican, or you know what I mean, or like, you know, the people that are like right wing and then left wing. You're either one of us or the other. Like it's very polarizing. So it's either you're a good person, or you're one of those bad kids. Like they never tell you can come out of that. or what you're doing is incorrect. But hey, next time you think about it properly, you won't do that same thing again. You always tell people, nah, as soon as you fall into that, you're gone.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I think it's also based on your relationship with the young person. So I think it's up to people like us to look at the young people that we have that relationship with, that we can advise, right? Because all of us, one way or another, had someone in our life that when we went a certain way said, come back this way, right? We all had that. So for us not to be there for someone else, be like, okay, let that kid make a mistake, is completely wrong. You know, and that's where I always try to do as much as I can for my community. It doesn't always work out, and it depends on the relationship that I have with the young person or their family, or maybe I have a great relationship with him, but he has a very different relationship with everyone else, and I only see him 2 hours a week, and I can't make that difference in their lives. But it's about everyone just making a difference wherever they can, and it's called the near edge theory. So instead of trying to do 100% of the work, if everyone does 1%, you get 100 people.
Yeah,
you reach that 100%, right? But then to say a young person, you know, make that mistake, you can change this, that, whatnot. You don't know how long that'll go on for, or how deep they'll get into that. I think everyone needs to actually, you know, get involved in one way or another, find out who you're closest to, and make that advice.
I reckon we end on that.
Yeah.
it's really good. Thanks for joining us.
Anytime.
I'm gonna say Salim, just to sign it off. Mish.
Yeah.